Guys, we are in a bear market, and if a couple of months ago no one could say that for sure, and only until recently many people still believe that we are not in a bear market, and this is just a slight correction, now it's more than obvious that we are in fact in a bear market, and it could potentially last for another year or two. So what's the best thing you can do while the market is not very fun to watch and your portfolio is melting every single day? Should you trade during these times? Should you leave the space for a while until the market turns bullish again? Or maybe DCAing on your favorite altcoins, like what you've been doing this whole time, even though the market keeps going down? Well, I might surprise some of you, but it could be none of this. So make sure you watch this video very carefully, as you're going to see a perspective that could be completely different than what you currently have. And frankly, we are now in a situation where your decisions matter the most. If you were wondering when is that time, now is that time. What decisions you will make, what actions you will take, will determine whether you will be one of those guys who made hundreds of thousands of dollars and changed their lives, or just be one of the many who cashed out a few $1,000s in the best case scenario. So if you don't want to miss this opportunity, listen to this very carefully. Alright, let's go ahead and jump in. So Bitcoin collapsed and smashed the all-time high of its previous cycle, breaking through the 20k level, the 90.7k level, which was the previous all-time high, going all the way down to 17.6k in just a single 1 week candle. In just a single week, guys. Only 1 week before that, Bitcoin was trading at 30k, and in no time it dropped to these levels, where many people in the crypto space called to be the cycle bottom. And we smashed it so quickly. I've seen a lot of big crypto influencers saying that 20k could be the lowest that Bitcoin can go, because that was the last cycle stop and we never went below it in the past. They were saying that 20k is a major support level and breaking below it is highly unlikely. But we actually broke it quite easily, I can say, which is very disappointing to be honest. But the reason for that is not the general investor dumping on the market, but multiple bad news within the space and liquidations for big companies. In fact, we haven't seen the same dip within the altcoins in the past 2 weeks, and we know that when Bitcoin is dumping, let's say 10%, altcoins are going down by 15 to 20%, and I'm talking about the top 50 altcoins or so, because you know, the lower the market cap, the bigger the dump they experience. But in the past 2 weeks, we've seen relatively strong response from the altcoins, and that's the main reason for that. Big companies held Bitcoin that they've dumped and not altcoins. We can also see that on Bitcoin dominance chart, where we can see that Bitcoin dominance took a big hit and dropped around 10%. And if you don't know what this chart means, basically, this tells us how well Bitcoin is performing compared to the altcoins. And generally speaking, Bitcoin dominance is going up when Bitcoin is outperforming the altcoins, and it's going down when the altcoins outperform Bitcoin. So this big green candle here is from the beginning of May 2022. And if we switch over to the Bitcoin chart, we can see that this is the same time when Bitcoin dropped 25%. So why Bitcoin dominance saw a massive move to the upside then? Well, because the altcoins took even a bigger hit, and even though Bitcoin was going down, the dominance was going up. Also, the rest of the month, Bitcoin was trading sideways. You can see that pretty much it stayed around 30k the whole month. But if I switch back to the Bitcoin dominance chart, we can see that the dominance kept going up, and that was because there was a lot of fear in the market, and altcoins are much more volatile. So what we've learned so far is that when we are in a bear market, while Bitcoin is holding its value, altcoins are likely to bleed against Bitcoin. And if we go back and look at the last bull run, we can clearly see that Bitcoin dominance started to trend higher in October 2020. But what happened at that time? Well, if I go back to the Bitcoin chart again, we can see that this is the exact time when the bull market started, on the spot. For the next 6 months, Bitcoin was trading higher, so let's see what the dominance chart is saying. Again, the Bitcoin dominance is going up, and it actually peaked at the end of December, and it got a small pullback. What is more interesting, if we take a look at March 2021 until May, we can see a massive 35% drop during this period. But what was Bitcoin doing at that time? Bitcoin was just going sideways during the exact same period. You can see March 2021 until May. Probably people are taking profits here and putting their money into altcoins to ride their wave as well and make some extra money. So if you didn't know up until now, altcoins are doing best when Bitcoin is going sideways. More importantly, when Bitcoin is above its bull market support band. And just to clarify something quickly, I don't say that altcoins are not going up while Bitcoin is going up in this period, but I'm saying that if you hold your money in Bitcoin over here, Bitcoin will shoot first and you won't miss the gains, and you will have plenty of time to convert your Bitcoin into your favorite altcoins if you want to catch them early. So what does this mean in the current times? Even though the Bitcoin dominance faced a decent pullback recently, I expect to continue move up in the next couple of months. Even if we see some pumps occasionally and Bitcoin move up 10 or 20% and altcoins jump 50%, on the way down they will drop much more than Bitcoin, so the dominance will keep rising. I personally think that we will be in a bear market for at least another year, and it's very hard to predict with high accuracy because so many factors have an impact on the market, but currently nothing is suggesting that this was the bottom and bull market is ahead. Furthermore, apart from breaking the last market cycle top, which happened for the first time, we also hit a score of 6 on the Bitcoin Fear and Greed Index, which we never reached before. In comparison, if I go back to March of 2020, that was one of the scariest crashes that the crypto and stock market ever experienced. On that crash, the Bitcoin Fear and Greed Index reached its all-time low of 8. So if you haven't invested in crypto back then, you can now understand the panic and how people felt at that time, seeing their portfolios melt by 50% in just 2 days. And I don't want to be that guy that says this time is different, because if you follow other influencers, you will hear this many times. But these are the facts, and in this market cycle many things happened for the first time. And not to mention that many people didn't expect the price to top at 69k, because this was the first cycle that didn't have a blow-off top. If we go back in 2013, the cycle has a double top and they were both blow-off tops. In 2017 we had a single top, but again blow-off top, and this last cycle we had double top again, but none of them were blow-off tops. That's why many people expected the second top to go up to around 100k. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. Also, another very interesting thing to mention that happened for the first time is that we had more than 6 red weekly candles in a row. If we go back, we can see that we usually have 3 to 4 red candles in a row when we're in a bear market. The March 2020 crash had only 3 red candles and we quickly recovered after that. A few months later we had 4 red candles in a row, even though they were very small. We also had 4 red candles in a row here and here. In all this period we didn't have more than 4 red candles in a row. So we are going back to September 2014 when we experienced 6 red candles in a row for the first time ever, and we also haven't seen that again up until now. Also, a couple months before that we saw 5 red candles in a row for the first time, and pretty much that was the only time. You can see, even if I go further back, we can see only 3 red candles in a row at most, and that is until what we can see, of course. If I go back to 2022, we can see 9 red candles in a row. That's not just one more of what we have seen until now, that's 3 more, and I think we got lucky closing this week on the green, considering what happened after that. I can say that this period has been pretty brutal and painful, but bear in mind that this cannot last forever. There are many other things that happened for the first time during this cycle, and this only shows us how unpredictable the market can be. What happened in the past can be a very good reference point of what can potentially happen, and even though sometimes the history repeats itself, we should also expect huge discrepancies. So how can you prepare yourself for that? First off, I said that a few times, but I'll say it again. During a bear market, cash is king. We are reaching levels of max fear in the market, and during these times the best buying opportunities occur. This is the time when generational wealth is made. It's not when we are in the middle of a bull market and you make 2-3x return on your investment if you invest in Bitcoin and 5 to 10x if you invest in an altcoin. Of course you can make very decent money during these times, don't get me wrong, but I'm talking about 100-500x gains, which can be truly life-changing. If we take HEX for example, I can't see it making 100x gains from this point, because that simply means HEX has to go all the way up to $3.5. I don't know what your expectations are, but I personally cannot see it going this high in the next market cycle, especially considering the fact that we don't actually know what people will do when the PulseChain mainnet goes live. Are they gonna move to HEX on the PulseChain network, or they will stay on the Ethereum network? I don't think everyone will abandon the original HEX, but I can definitely see many people choosing to move over to HEX on the Pulse network. So HEX has very big support at around 1 cent, and if we drop to these levels, I think 100x becomes more realistic, because that would mean HEX to go to around $1.30, and that seems achievable to me. But how likely is that? I have absolutely no idea. Many Hexicans said that HEX might never drop below 10 cents when we were over here, and that was true until we broke below it. This capitulation here sent us to 3 cents and a half. Many Hexicans said again that this is the best price you might ever get on HEX. Well, that was also true until we went below 3 cents here. I'm not saying that HEX HEX will keep going down and eventually reach 1 cent, but considering the market conditions and the time frame we expect to be in a bear market, I can say that it's likely, and you shouldn't be surprised if we keep trading lower. Is HEX a good buy here? Absolutely. If you believe in the project, you are entering the market at a good price. However, the lower you buy, the more crucial it becomes for the ROI you can make. As I showed you already, if you buy now and HEX reaches $1.30 in the next bull run, you will make around 35x. But if you buy at around 1 cent and a half, you will make a whopping 100x return. So that's 65 times more money just because you entered the market lower. Of course, I'm not suggesting anyone to wait until we reach 1 cent to invest now at 3 cents and a half, or to invest at all. If you don't believe in the project, neither 1 cent nor 50 cent could be a good buy for you. And I never said that you should or you shouldn't invest in this or in that project. All I do is make the research for myself and I share it here with you on my channel. If I find something bullish, I point it out, and if I find something that I don't like, I don't hide it from you, regardless of how many people will disagree in the comments. So these videos should give you a lot of information that would help you to make the decision for yourself whether the project is worth investing or not, but your final decision should be made based on your own research. So as I said many times now, nothing is guaranteed, and no one can say if this was the actual market bottom, how long the bear market will last, and are we actually going to start trading higher from here, and if we don't buy now, we are missing a lifetime opportunity. I don't want you to assume that just because I think we have a long bear market ahead, we actually have a long bear market ahead. This is what the data suggests, and I follow the data. It's very unlikely we will enter a new bull market soon, but I do expect a relief rally anytime soon, where we can go above 30k I think, but I suggest you to not get overhyped and YOLO into any altcoin thinking that you're gonna miss the boat. I always say that you should have a bullish plan and a bearish plan, and during these times, exposure to the market on a relatively safe asset is recommended to be prepared for potential upside, but your main focus should be your income. Now is the time to drop your expenses to a minimum and save as much as you can. Don't buy the new iPhone just because the camera is amazing. If you are working on a 9 to 5 job, stay overtime if possible. Work on the weekends. If you don't get paid too much in your current job, make that extra effort and change your job for a better salary. If your current job is well paid but there is no overtime or weekend work, get a side hustle. There are plenty of side hustles you can start and make a decent amount per month. If you have any skills like photo editing or video editing, register on a freelancer website like Fiverr. People make a lot of money from their homes doing what they like. If you don't have any skills, learn one. There are plenty of tutorials here on YouTube for whatever you can think of. If you ever wanted to start an online business, now is the time to build it. It won't be easy, it will take time, but the upside potential is ginormous. You literally have no limit on how much you can make, and then imagine that multiplied 10, 50 or 100 times. You will thank yourself for that decision till the rest of your life. But how many of you will actually do it? Just one of those things, not all of them, just one. How many will choose to live in a box for a year or two to become financially free after that? How many will give up after 1 month? How many are actually still watching this video? The answer is not everyone. And even though to get to the end of this video doesn't require any effort, and still many of you won't make it till the end, imagine how many will actually do one of those things that I mentioned and not give up. Probably 1% or even less. Finding excuses and giving up is the easiest thing you can do in life. You can spend hours explaining to me how hard it is to learn a new skill, and video editing is not for everyone, for example. But I would never agree with you because a decent quality microphone costs only $30, and you can always buy one and offer voiceover services on Fiverr, where you can literally pay off the cost of the microphone in one order. The demand for voiceovers is definitely there, and it doesn't require any skills. That is just one quick example, but my point is, do whatever you can possibly can to make as much money as possible during this bear market, so in the next bull run you can absolutely crush it. And you know what they say, right? The first million is the hardest. So if you didn't have a chance to change your life before, now you have it, because back over here, when the market crashed, no one knew back then where the market is heading towards. Was this the market cycle top and now we're heading to the bear market? Or that is just a small correction before we start trading higher again? You know, investing in this period is scary because the market can keep going down, as many people took profits over here, and that could just be a single top market cycle, and going from 65k all the way down to 28k is a decent correction. If we take an average price of 35k during this period, you can potentially see another 60% drop, and that is painful, not just because more than half of your portfolio will evaporate, but because if we are heading working towards a bear market, you might have to wait around 2 years to see the same prices again. And the whole point is to buy as low as possible and not in the middle. And that is just Bitcoin. I don't even want to talk about the altcoins because some of them just simply don't survive these drops. And the ones that survive, they drop more than 90%. And even scarier is that they can drop 90% multiple times. So buying altcoins when we are on the way down is extremely dangerous, especially the low cap ones, where you can make 100 or 1000x, but you can also lose it all. I think every coin has its own place and its own time to invest in. We can't just simply say that Bitcoin is useless because it won't make you a millionaire at this point, and buying it here when we hold the bull market support band and kept trading higher will give you just tiny returns. So that's the time to put money into risky coins because we have confirmation for a bull market and they will make much greater returns compared to Bitcoin. And even now, if you bought at 18k and wait for 3 years when we'll eventually reach 100k, that's just 5x. No one's here for 5x, right? But Bitcoin will hold its value during the bear market, and that's the whole point, because we know that when we are below the bull market support band and Bitcoin is going sideways, altcoins are usually going down. So like I said, buying here or here when we have no clue which direction the market will take and the downside move can be catastrophic is very risky. Buying now, even though the market can go lower from here, is relatively safe bet, as you can DCA on the way down and lower your average price. DCAing when there is a very high downside potential is not a good strategy because you will eventually run out of money and your average price won't be as good. Of course, I'm giving an example only with Bitcoin because this is the safest bet in my opinion. Bitcoin is the first cryptocurrency and I don't know what you think, but in my opinion, if Bitcoin doesn't survive the bear market, no other cryptocurrency will. Bitcoin proved many years that it's here to stay and something super crazy should happen in order to kill Bitcoin. But if you believe in HEX and you think we'll definitely survive the bear market and it's a great store of value, you can build your strategy around HEX instead of Bitcoin. However, Bitcoin will continue to be the one that we measure where we're in the market. So yeah, if you want to accumulate HEX now at these low prices so you can get a copy when PulseChain is launched and basically ride both waves on the Ethereum and the PulseChain network, choose this strategy. That should be a personal preference and risk management. I gotta say that HEX is holding relatively strong even though it dropped quite a lot, but just because it's holding now doesn't mean that's its bottom and it can't go lower. I'm not saying it will, don't get me wrong, but I'm curious to see how the market will respond after the launch of PulseChain. Is the price gonna drop significantly or it's actually gonna pump? How many people will abandon HEX on the Ethereum network and so on? Of course, even if the price goes down after launch, you will have a copy on the PulseChain network, so you might consider this bet relatively safe. I personally don't like to gamble too much and I think boring investing has the least chance of making mistakes and losing a lot of money. We also don't have to forget that all PRC20 copies will have no value at the beginning, and I don't expect a crazy price performance during a bear market. We don't even know if people are actually going to invest in HEX on the PulseChain network or if they will simply just focus on PulseChain and pulsex. That's why rushing during this period is not a good strategy. I spoke about my strategy for PulseChain and pulsex launch in my previous videos, and I told you back then that I won't do anything crazy during the launch and I'll wait for the hype to cool down, and when I see a decent dip of around 80%, then I'll consider investing. Of course, that's my personal strategy and I don't claim it's the best one. I just wanted to cover what to do in general and I talked about the whole crypto market, as I believe most of you invest in many different coins and not just in Richard Heart's ecosystem. So all in all, buying Bitcoin at around 20k is a very good buy, and I do expect the market to keep going lower for at least 6 more months, which we know that means the whole crypto market will go down with it. I'm not saying buy Bitcoin now because it's a good buy, but I'm saying that I think Bitcoin dominance will keep going up, which means staying away from altcoins is recommended. I would prefer to keep my money in Bitcoin because we already know that it's the first to rally and outperforms altcoins in the beginning, so you'll have a chance to get in early without missing any gains. Do whatever you want with this information, build your own strategy and stick to it, but no matter what you choose to do, the most important thing in my opinion that you have to do is to make sure you build as much capital as possible during this bear market, so you can buy those cheap coins when everyone is at max fear, wait for a year or two, and on the way up you will just sit and watch how your portfolio is growing like crazy, and you can start selling your coins at whatever prices you want because you will be on insane profit. But I think this video is going way too long now and I don't want to extend it anymore, so please share with me down in the comments what you guys think about this video, what do you agree and disagree, and pretty much any feedback would be appreciated. If you also want to support my channel, you can do it by simply pressing the like button. It really helps my channel a lot. If you like my content and you want to see more of it in the future, subscribe to my channel. I try to upload at least least 2-3 videos a week. There is a lot more interesting stuff coming up. I'll keep updating you on what's going on with PulseChain and the crypto market overall. And if you haven't watched my previous videos, I'll link some of them in the description below. And with that being said, thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one.